Learning about melodic writing is not so straightforward, and I actually felt that the more experienced I became, the harder it became for me to write melodies as I became more and more aware of the complexity of the process. In this video series about melodic writing, I'm covering various elements that I think you should be paying attention to. Things I think none enough music educator covers while teaching melodic writing. Now here's one of the most unique one, and it's about phrasing. Phrasing might be one of the most difficult and abstract point I will cover in this video series, but it's in my opinion the most interesting. Basically, every discourse, musical or non-musical, follows certain guidelines that we use us human beings to communicate. And one of these, I summarized it in what I call the rule of three, and I will cover it in this video. It's something I use everywhere in my music. So what's so hard at getting better about phrasing is that we actually don't have any information on how to improve it, other than by listening to other composers' music or looking at other people's scores. So how is phrasing related to melodic writing? Well, basically, phrasing is the big picture of melodic writing. And although it does involve all the different musical parameters, I believe that your ability to be good at phrasing depends on, first, your understanding of duration, and secondly, your dramatic sense. It's important to understand the role of each musical segment of your piece, from the wider form to the different segments of a melody. With duration, you can create various effects, for instance, varying the different lengths of chords with harmonic rhythm, but also varying the length of different segments of a phrase, or even the length of the different sections of your piece. Here are the basic ground rules of duration. If a segment is of a certain duration, and then the next one is the same length, then you're creating some predictability. If the next segment is shorter, then you're gonna create an effect of surprise or acceleration. On the other hand, if it's longer, you're creating a question and a resolution at the same time when you finally change the chord. And it's a kind of suspension effect. Now, I actually done a video on this very specific matter on duration, and you can go check it out now or afterwards. Now, let's look at this example and see how duration is used to create expectation. We see that in this segment, the first phrase is 4 bars, the second one is 2.5 bars, the third one 3.5 bars. Also note the harmonic rhythm for each phrase and the amount of melodic notes for each. We will be discussing those when we talk about dramatic sense. So to the listener, we expect from the first phrase that the music will be moving slowly with long phrases. So when the second phrase comes, it's a real surprise that it's so short. And when we present the last phrase, which is almost as long as the first one, we feel a sense of closure and calm as we go back to a slower phrase. Now later in the video, I'll be covering my rule of three that I use, and we'll see how the different choices regarding harmonic rhythm and duration of phrase can create different effects. But now let's talk about working your dramatic sense. Your dramatic sense is your ability to transpose different emotions you have in mind in your melody. A music with a great dramatic sense shows that you, the composer, know where the music is going, know what it needs to go forward. And don't misinterpret this as like I'm saying, write the music that's easy to follow. But I'm saying that you need to be in control of the musical discourse to create expectations and either deceiving them or fulfilling them, creating a very engaging and intriguing music at all times. A good dramatic sense combines a good structural control of intervals, chords, and duration. And I'll show you how you can make small and big choices that can help you shape the dramatic arc of your music in which your melodies can thrive. So back to our example from earlier, we talked about the harmonic rhythm and the amount of melodic notes for each. So earlier I pointed towards the harmonic rhythm and the notes per melody segments. The first phrase of this example used 5 melodic notes and 2 chords. The second one used 3 melodic notes and 2 chords. The third one used 4 melodic notes and 3 chords. Additionally, from the effects of duration we mentioned earlier, the listener from hearing the first phrase expect a very active melody accompanied by a more static harmony. When combined with duration, we see that the first melody lasts 4 beats for only 2 chords. So both second and third melodies will make the music feel like it goes forward a lot more, as we suddenly have basically 1 chord per bar. Now let's see the phrase's structure, as I believe it helped showing how I've created a complex emotional music. So to really understand this, let's look at the general direction of the 3 phrases. We have B flat, A, and G as the lowest notes of each phrase. So although we might not necessarily hear it, we do feel that it's going downward. Let's do the exercise with the highest note. We have J, F, and C. So again, a downward effect. This goes well with the dramatic effect I was looking for, which was to have a music that starts with some kind of hope and that progressively transitions into something darker and sad. I did also use major chords in the beginning and shifted in the middle towards minor chords. So all of these structural decisions I made, progressively going downward, progressively moving towards minor chords, and we could also say moving to denser chords in the last 2 phrases. All of these contribute to the dramatic effect I was looking for. Now, if I would want a more uplifting melody, a more balanced melody, a more uncertain melody, you could combine different structural choices that could help you get closer to your idea. You can also create more effect by controlling the structure of your melody on an even larger scale, like over multiple melodic segments. And now that we've covered duration and dramatic sense, I'll give you a neat trick that I use for approaching phrasing that works everywhere. It's called the rule of 3. It involves setting your phrasing with 3 different effects: the anticipation, the action, and the outcome. The anticipation is usually preparing you for the important element in your phrase. The action is the punchline or the central element in your phrase. And the outcome is the result, the effect after the punch. So like the anticipation would be me coming into a classroom, the punch would be me taking a piano, throwing it by the window, and the outcome would be me getting fired. This would be a sad story. So you see that it's also a narrative structure, and it's how every story being told, every discourse is made. We see that used everywhere, like introduction, development, conclusion, exposition, development, re-exposition, in sonata form, for instance, appetizers, main course, dessert. Food aside, I always think my melody like so, and I think it helps the structure and allows you to have more control over the drama you want to create with the music. So back to the same example we had earlier. The first phrase, used as an anticipation, present an expressive and wandering melody with its direction uncertain. Second phrase is like the hard blow with its 2 notes and dramatic chords. Then the third phrase, resolve what was left in the air with a cadence. This last 3 is very interesting to explore, and you would be surprised at how it can help you shape your phrasing. If I give you another example, having a short anticipation with very few information about the harmony, a quite long action with lots of notes in the melody, and a very brief outcome can create such a different effect than what I just presented. And the combinations are endless. Try and explore this in your future compositions and tell me about it. Now, if you want to know more about duration, I'll point you toward this next video.